glad you are with us on the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy, Tax and Investment Advisors. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Brad. Nice to see you.
Well, let's talk about something unpleasant, shall we?
Okay.
Taxes are where we're headed today. And I think we're going to spend a lot of time on this because you have a partner in your retirement and the government isn't always friendly in the retirement phase of this. We've talked about this in previous shows. We'll talk about it in future shows. Why is it so significant that we harp on this, especially for people who are heading into retirement going, hey, this is my number. And the understanding, it ain't my number because I got a partner who's getting ready to take a part of it. Tell me why it's such a key part in your retirement roadmap for most people.
Okay. This is really an area I get super excited about, Brad, because we can make a big difference in people's lives, and we do every single day. People who work very hard, they did everything right. They did what they were supposed to do, what they were told to do.
Sure.
Start work early, plow as much money into your 401k as you can, get all that money in these tax-deferred accounts, because what did they tell you? Well, you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket in retirement than you were when you were working.
Big myth?
Big myth, okay? Big myth, especially the way the stock market has worked out and the large balances that people have in their retirement plans. And that is leading to some unforeseen taxes for people that they're not even really aware is creeping up on.
Which is interesting that you've created this. I want to put this tax calculator up for you because Rob has created something to give you an idea of it. What do you mean taxes in retirement and what I'm dealing with? BostonTaxTest.com is where you want to go. You can go to the website. You can scan the QR code on your screen. What this is helping to calculate what you've put away because the government had a plan for you. We'll give you a tax break on the seed. And when the harvest comes, we're coming after you. So this really only takes a couple of minutes for you to go to BostonTaxTest.com and put in the number of the tax-deferred number that you have, as Rob so eloquently said, worked all your life for, and now the government wants another piece. And now you guys have put together maybe some options. Give me an idea of the options, because when people look at this, they're going to go, what?
Yeah, well, that is the reaction, right? So what the retirement tax calculator does is it helps you figure out your lifetime tax bill, not just your tax bill this year or next year. And most of your accountants might be focused on this year and next year.
Tax prep instead of tax planning.
Not tax planning.
Gotcha.
What is the long-term plan? And when we run these lifetime tax analysis for people, many people are shocked to find out they'll pay $1 million, $2 million or more in lifetime taxes. And it's absolutely shocking to them. They didn't realize they have a partner in their account, like you said. But you know what? People say partner. You know what it is? It's a joint account. Everybody's familiar with a joint account. If you and I have a joint account, we each own half, right? But at least I own half, and you own half. You have a joint account with the IRS, and guess how much they get to decide how much they keep? Any amount they want.
Whenever the rules are going to change.
Yeah, that's right. Historically low tax rates today.
Yeah, talk about taxes on sale now, because people hear that, maybe hearing it for the first time. What do you mean taxes are on sale? Why do you say historically low, and why we may be going into something different, as we say, because the legislation likes to change the rules whenever they want?
That's right. So as you know, any plan we put into place has to always evolve with what the tax rules are and what the politicians are doing to us. But one of the things that we want to focus on doing is removing money from our tax-deferred accounts to what's called a tax-free account or a Roth IRA. It's called a Roth IRA conversion. It's a strategy that people can utilize. It doesn't matter how much income you have, how much assets you have, what age you are, everybody can do this. And what it allows you to do is buy out your partner, Uncle Sam, okay? You don't want to have an unknown situation where you don't know how much money you can count on for the rest of your life. Because when you look at your fidelity statement and it says you have $1 million in there, sorry to be the deliverer of bad news, you don't have $1 million in your IRA. You have $600,000 or $700,000 that you can spend. The rest you're just holding on to for the IRS. It'd be nice if Fidelity sent a statement that said, here's your $1 million IRA, between $250,000 and $600,000 of this belongs to the IRS, the rest is yours. How do you get rid of that situation? You get proactive. You don't follow the conventional wisdom of defer, defer, defer. Don't take money out of your retirement plan until you have to. If you are born between 1951 and 1959, your retirement beginning age, or the day you need to start taking money out of your IRA or 401k, is 73. If you're born 1960 or later, it's 75. Conventional wisdom says delay, delay, delay. I'm here to tell you, if you're 62, 63, 64, you have a window of opportunity here to move some of your forever taxed money to never taxed money. Why is that so important? There's no required minimum distributions on money that goes into Roth. So you don't have to have a lot of additional income coming in retirement that you didn't need. No taxes to your children when they take the money out. No taxes to you when you take the money out. It's one of the most wonderful vehicles ever created. Unfortunately, not enough people use it.
And as we talked about the timing of this, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act officially ends at the end of 2025.
That's right.
37% tax bracket. Whereas if you look back on the day, back in the 70s, where it never dropped below 70%.
That's right.
Here's the thing. The government's 36 plus and growing every day, $1 trillion in debt. Right. Where are they going after it? So it may last for a little bit longer, but as you said, now is the time to start strategizing while you know the rules.
Now we know the rules, right? And like you said, there's 36 trillion in debt. We have a $2 trillion deficit. It just keeps growing and growing. And if you understand how compounding works, you can see that this could be a huge problem in the future. Interest on the debt is already taking up huge portions of the budget, as much or almost as much as defense we spend on interest on the debt now. What does that mean for you? That means taxes are probably going to go up and benefits could potentially be cut. And you need to plan for that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we better plan for the possibility of that happening. We know the Social Security Trust Fund is in trouble. And we know that tax revenue is not nearly enough coming in to pay the bills. We've made a lot of promises to 80 million baby boomers and everybody else behind them of retirement checks for the rest of their life. And that's going to take a lot of money to make good on. So if you did everything right, you saved up a bunch of money in your IRA, 401k, and retirement plan, you are the prime target for where they're going to get this money. There's trillions of dollars in tax-deferred retirement plans. That is prime target for the government to raise revenue. So they're going to be pretty aggressive on figuring out how to get money out of your IRA for taxes. You better be just as aggressive finding a way to keep it. Several strategies we could talk about, Brad, but the Roth IRA conversion is one of the big ones. Okay,
I want to get more into Roth in the second segment. We've got to go to break. Take people to break telling, first of all, you have your Retire Free. The book is available to them. But it's part of the roadmap.
It is.
And understanding the taxes and how we strategize about keeping the most money in your pocket. Tell people what you have to offer them today.
Okay, great. You know, after a lifetime of hard work, you deserve a stress-free retirement. And if you want to sleep well at night, knowing you've made the right decisions for yourself and your family, you need a plan. But you don't just need any plan. You need the Retirement Freedom Roadmap. With the Retirement Freedom Roadmap, we can walk you through step by step what you need to do to protect your family and get the most out of your life with your money. We'll look at your income strategy. We'll make sure you're optimizing Social Security, pension distribution, withdrawal strategies. We'll take a look at your investment strategy. We'll make sure you're not paying ridiculous fees and that you don't have too much risk in your portfolio. We can take a look at your tax strategy. We can show you several strategies. Many of our clients, we can save them tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. Show you how to protect your assets at the end of your life and how to leave the rest of your family in the most tax efficient manner.
And that's what's free for you, along with a copy of the book, Retire Free, which is the 5 steps towards living your best retirement. And don't we all want that? 855-255-1128. Get your Retirement Freedom Roadmap right now. Because if you're going to run out of money in retirement, when would you like to know? Make the call, scan the QR code. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy, tax and investment advisors. And we had this for you. We'll continue a little bit to put this up on the screen, the BostonTaxTest.com. This is the tax calculator. What's a tax calculator? Well, you have to calculate how much the IRS wants from you in tax-deferred accounts. This is what you talked about in the first segment, Robin. You said strategies now are different. How do we strategize with the Roth conversion? And I don't think what you're saying for a lot of people, what, I'm supposed to convert all my money right now? Don't think that's what you're saying to a lot of people. Give an idea of what the Roth conversion is, because it has become kind of it's a popular word.
Yeah.
It's a popular understanding, and yet people don't necessarily understand what the Roth conversion is. Explain both conversion and withdrawal, contributions, conversions.
Yeah.
Enlighten us and simplify this thing for us.
Great. So thank you for the question, because there really is a lot of confusion about Roths and how they work and so forth. So there's a traditional Roth IRA, which works just like your regular IRA, where you're contributing to it, and the most you can put in is $8,000 in any 1 year. So it's very limited how much money you can get in. That's called an IRA or a Roth IRA contribution. That's different than a Roth IRA conversion. Okay, with a conversion, we're taking money that is already in an IRA or a 401k, and we're gonna convert that over to a tax-free Roth IRA. Now, you do pay the taxes on the amount of money that you transfer over. So, of course, you're not going to transfer the whole thing over in one lump sum, especially if you have $500,000 or $1 million in there. That would be silly.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is have a strategic plan on what makes the most sense for you and your situation. Your situation's different. You might have a pension, Social Security, other investments, other assets. It has to be unique to you. But what we do is we take a look at your situation, and then we convert enough each and every year to fill up your tax brackets.
Without moving
into a new one. So 12, 22, 24, right? Let's say with your income that you have from all these other sources, there's still $50,000 that you could realize in income before you go to the next bracket. Right, you got wiggle room there. Don't waste that wiggle room, okay? Every year that goes by that you don't max out your bracket is a lost opportunity.
While you're in the third lowest tax bracket in history.
In history, that's right. So we talked a little bit about that before, but tax brackets have been as high as the 90%. And for most of the 70s, it was in the 70% range, right? Now we have it in the 30s and lower. Some people 10, 12, they can get money out of their IRAs at 10 and 12%.
Let's talk a little bit about what you said with a Roth 401k, because there are more companies now, and the government has pushed this because the government would like to tax money now.
Right.
They don't usually do things to say, you know what, we're doing this for you.
Yeah.
It sounds like it is. But there are many more companies now who have set up Roth 401ks to go along with a traditional 401k. And yet I'm finding that within a lot of companies, they're not actually telling you that they have a Roth 401k.
Right.
Strategy-wise, when I'm contributing to a traditional and to a Roth,
Yeah.
where do I stop with the traditional and where do I start with the Roth?
Well, with a traditional 401k, I would, depending on how the matching is working, of course, I'd put
Always
in
with
as
the
much as I
match.
can up to the match,
Okay.
right? The answer to that question is you have to try to think about what tax bracket do you think you'll be in retirement?
Gotcha.
Which is a very, difficult thing sometimes to do, but that's what we help people figure out. The problem is people have absolutely no idea that they're going to slip into these much higher tax brackets in retirement because they don't understand how the rules work. So people are being blindsided left and right by the massive taxes that they have to pay on the distributions from their IRAs. Do you want to take a minute? Want me to take a minute just to explain how that works?
Please do that because the RMDs now coming in, people are still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your explanation on what this looks like.
Here's a typical problem that I might see.
Okay.
Maybe not a terrible problem to have, but a problem nonetheless. Okay. I'm thinking of a couple that I met with last week, and we were looking at their financial plan. And this is kind of what an income scenario might look like. Let's say they're still working.
All right.
Year or two, it shows high income. But then they retire. Before they turn on Social Security and before their required minimum distributions have start, there's a window of opportunity where they don't have a lot of income on the books.
Okay.
That's when they could take maximum advantage of converting some of these accounts from these taxable accounts to the tax-deferred. Tax-free. Now, you don't know exactly what the tax rates are going to be in the future, of course, so it's somewhat of a gamble, but with everything going on, it's my belief that tax rates will be higher in the future. If you can do a Roth conversion, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Well, that's why it's so important to actually run the numbers. Okay, we've run these numbers for hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. We know what works and we know what doesn't. People get all sorts of crazy information out there. But we ran this analysis for a person. He had pension coming in, had Social Security come in, no income coming in at first. He thought he was in good shape. And then we showed the plan. We brought it out to his required minimum distribution age. And his taxes shot through the roof. He was going to have over $100,000 a year in required minimum distributions that he had to take on top of his Social Security, pension, interest, and dividend income. That pushed him into the highest possible tax brackets. Brad, the guy had all his bills paid off. He didn't need lots of money to live on. He probably could have lived on $60,000 or $70,000 a year. But because he didn't plan in advance, he had $200,000 of taxable income coming in.
Brand new information for him?
Brand new information. I'm like, your broker didn't tell you this? He's like, nobody told me this. He was in absolute shock. No clue.
Why are there so many advisors, brokers, who are not talking about taxes? When we talk about fiduciary independent advisors, which you are, why is that different from the people who aren't talking about taxes with people in their accounts?
Right. Well, there's two different things. One, accountants are they do tax prep? Okay, so they're basically looking at history. You give them the information and they record what history did. Tax planning is looking forward. And there are, of course, some accountants that do that, but many don't. The real problem, though, are the financial advisors. They really only want to manage the money, okay? They only get paid if they get a fee or a commission on your investments. They don't get paid to tell you how to maximize your Social Security or the appropriate withdrawal strategy or how to protect yourself from long-term care. That takes time and energy away from them trying to get somebody else to give them money they can make money on investments on. Most people I meet, I say, do you have a financial planner? They say, I do. And I find out they don't have a financial planner. They have a portfolio manager or an investment guy. And tell you what the investment person says. Everything looks good. Not going to make any changes. Ride it out. Everything's fine. I'll see you in 6 months. And that's really all the information they're getting. They're not getting proactive advice on all these other critical areas. And that is a real shame, Brad, because people that I see are hurting. And they're really headed for some serious, serious trouble. Many of these don't even know it's coming.
What's the roadmap offer that you have for folks?
Yeah. So look, I really feel like if you have spent your entire life working and accumulating these assets, trying to protect yourself, trying to protect your family, it makes sense to take a step back and take a comprehensive look at what you have. So if you are thinking about retiring, or maybe you are retired right now, maybe you have an advisor or a so-called advisor, maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer, but you just want to get more answers specific to your situation, how you can make sure you're going to be able to have the peaceful retirement that you want, that your family's going to be okay no matter what happens. You know, you really need to take a proactive approach on this tax planning, because there is a tax time bomb ticking, and you're gonna want to get in front of that and disable that before it blows up in your retirement.
So if you'd like a retirement freedom roadmap, 855-255-1128. The cost is free, and not doing something may cost you a lot down the road. A copy of the book is yours free, Retire Free, that Rob has put together, that is already in iterations for the second book that is coming now, because things change. They're changing now for you. When would you like to have a roadmap to make sure your retirement lasts? 855-255-1128. Scan the QR code. The retirement revolution returns after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Grateful for your time on the Retirement Revolution. Brad Johansson with Rob Guy, Tax and Investment Advisors. We have been talking about the BostonTaxTest.com. It is the tax calculator that Rob has put together so that you have an understanding of what you owe the IRS and the government's plan for you. And Rob would like to make a plan for you to keep more of the money in your pocket. Sequence of withdrawals. I want to hit that. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but give me an idea of understanding. Is what you're saying with this that we need to understand where we're taking our money out when we're going into distribution phase?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So it's very important to coordinate your withdrawal strategy. And if you think about it, everybody has their money in 3 different tax buckets. All your money is either in a taxable bucket, which means it has no special tax advantages. It might be a joint account or a trust account. You pay taxes as you go. You get a 1099, interest, dividends, and capital gains. Then you have your tax-deferred bucket. That's your IRA, your 401k, your 403b. And if you're lucky, you have a Roth IRA. So you're trying to figure out, where do I pull the money from first? In addition to that, you have Social Security claiming strategies, and you have pension distribution options maybe. And we want to coordinate all that together. But let me give you an example of why which bucket you tap first can make a huge difference at the end of the day and how much taxes you're going to pay. We had a couple in that were doing really quite well, getting ready to retire. They had a decent amount of money in the first 2 buckets, the taxable bucket and the tax-deferred bucket. Okay. And they didn't yet have any money in tax-free. Well, conventional wisdom basically says that what you should do is you should spend down all that money that's in your that's in your taxable account. In your taxable account. You know, your joint account, your trust account, your individual account. You're not paying any taxes to pull that money out. You just get taxed every year whether you spend it or not. So people say, yes, spend that money first and allow your tax-deferred account to defer as long as possible. That's generally a mistake for people because there is no strategy to that. Here's a different strategy, Brad, that we showed these people that made a huge difference in their life. It's called average tax withdrawals. Now, what do I mean by that? We talked a little bit in the last segment about tax brackets and doing Roth conversions. Well, tax brackets are also very important when it comes to income planning. So let's say you did an income plan and you figured out after your other income sources, you needed to pull $70,000 a year from your portfolio, okay? Well, most people would say just pull it all out of the traditional account and leave the tax-deferred account. And that's great because, you know, when you're doing that, your tax bill is almost nothing. So people the first few years of retirement are like, this is great. I'm just spending money out of the bank. I'm not getting a paycheck. I'm not paying any taxes. They're not thinking about down the road. But we have a strategy where we look at how much money you have in your various brackets. So let's say we're talking about the 22% bracket. Well, there's a certain amount of income that you can pull from your tax-deferred accounts that would not go over those brackets, right? And you make up the difference from the non-taxable accounts. So we're shuffling between the taxable account, tax-deferred, and tax-free. We do that every single year for you based on your Social Security, pension, and everything else. It's a way to optimize the amount of money that's you're going to ultimately get out of your accounts from a tax-wise. So one of the things we could do is combine that with, if we only needed a certain amount of money and we still had some room, we could do a Roth conversion as well, right? So if we didn't, you know, if we hadn't filled up our bracket with everything, we could do a Roth conversion. So a combination of not listening to conventional wisdom, figuring out in your unique situation how much you should pull from your taxable account versus your tax-deferred account versus your tax-free account could make the difference of well over $100,000 for many people.
And you had mentioned very quickly on Social Security that this is something people need to pay attention to because it wasn't supposed to be taxed, but it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you know, I have these words for all these things. I call that the Social Security tax torpedo, okay? And what that really means is people are unaware of the significant impact that Social Security taxes can have on their overall return and their amount of spendable income that they can have. So let me give you an example.
You got to go very quickly.
Very, very quickly, okay? Somebody needs to take $40,000 out of their IRA to buy a truck, okay? But now they're up against a taxable limit of Social Security. They're going to pay an extra 85 cents on every dollar that comes in because 85% of your Social Security is taxable.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It is.
And you need to know. Come in for a roadmap. 855-255-1128. Grateful for your time here. Let's see you in the office. Let's put the puzzle together. See you right here next time.